welcome to yet another girl who don't you know? It's me, Marilyn Green, the hostess with the mostest. And we are here today because we are going to transform your mind, as I always say, one show at a time. I'm super excited for my guest today because I just think she's special because she's humble. She's really quiet, but she is very knowledgeable, right? Especially when you have a doctor in front of your name. You've done something and you've proven yourself to be doctor material, all right? And so today, I wanted to bring in the month of January as we start over anew. In some instances, we start over anew, but we still have some things back in 2023, 21, 22, whatever, that we really need to try to cope better or totally deal with it. So that's why I want her to come on, and she's going to give us some strategies, some tips, something to help you to have a healthier 2023. So we're going to be talking about loss, and then we're going to talk about just finding yourself, if you will. So without further ado and stuff, Dr. Veronica Clay, hey, how you doing today? As they say, how you doing? How you doing today, girl?
And thank you for having me, Merlin.
Of course, of course. So she's here, and I'm going to be asking some questions, but you know how I do. I'm a free flow. So let's talk about that. I know you've seen people who have suffered loss. Let me just talk about loss for a minute. Loss does not have to be a loved one. Loss
No.
could be, for me, it was COVID 19. COVID 19, that was a huge loss. And I think a lot of people did not deal with it as such, and they had some issues dealing with it. That's a loss. I can talk about the loss of sunshine.
Yes.
The loss of
I was happy to
sunshine.
see that today.
Yes, and we had sunshine today, and I'm all excited. I'm like, oh, I need to run outside. But the loss of sunshine, it brings on that seasonal affective disorder or SAD.
Yes.
Even if you're not diagnosed, something happens when you don't have that you don't have the sun like you need the sun. It could be a loss of anything. So let's talk about that. How do you people cope with loss? What's the best strategies, if you will, that will help them be extremely healthy for the rest of the year? So what, tell us something.
So I'm gonna still piggyback off of you with the loss from COVID, right?
Yes.
COVID was a loss that there was no age for it, right? Like there was no age barrier, like from infant to however old. Like for me, that loss was friends, family. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you go from just moving, doing what you want to do to just stopping? So I have seen that loss go, with our kids, right? So I'm a high
Mhm.
school counselor.
Yes.
So I have a group of seniors who are still lost, right? Like they were in middle school when COVID hit.
Wow.
So they are lost academically, they are lost mentally, they are lost. So I'm learning to cope with them as I learned
Okay.
to cope with my loss from COVID, right? So
Right.
we
Right.
we're learning together. We're coping together. So I um I treat them different than I've treated in the last 20 years students, right?
Really.
Because of that loss. Just think about it. They were in the eighth grade and went out, just say spring break. When they came back, they were in the 10th grade,
Wow.
almost a
Mm.
year and a half, right? So
Yeah.
now the
Yeah.
world wants them to, society is like, hey, you're a senior. You should know what you're going to do. You should know where you're going. You should have a plan. But we're asking a, what, 10, 12-year old to
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
plan,
Yes.
11-year-old to have a plan.
Right.
So that loss is a big loss. Now, I also take that loss, and if we're talking about like a grieving loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, because I'm dealing with someone at work, I kind of, it's been on my mind, it's been heavy on my heart. Um, People like to say, how do you cope? I don't even like using the word cope with a
Me
loss. I
either.
like to
Me
say
either.
process. How are
That's
you
better.
processing that grief, right? What are
Hmm.
you doing to make that go? Because grief is not one single cookie cutter for any individual. Everyone's grief is different. And I want everyone to know that just because that happened to you and then it happened to someone else, that's going to look different for both people. Like it's going to be different. And so when we we're having our quick conversation before we came on, I'm concerned about someone because someone told them just keep coming to work and you'll feel better. And I'm like, who told you that? Like, it's
That
really
might be. That
blown me
might be.
away, right? Like, how do you tell someone,
That
oh,
might be
just keep coming?
bad. That
Right.
might be
And you don't
bad.
know, it may be
Yeah.
good for you to keep going to work, but not for that person, right? So I
Wow.
just want us to know that you need to process grief because it's not an event that happened. Like it's not a concert, it's grief. So you need to learn how to process it in the way that you need to process it.
Okay. And so let's get back to the kids. Let's just jump on that for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. I love how you said that they came in, they left one way, and then they came back and all that and their process. Okay. So what are you doing? Let's just get with the school things as a school. What are you doing to really help them? Our children now, I mean, it's hard being a child, period. Okay. So dealing with COVID-19, dealing with too much internet, dealing with too much all that is how do
Social
you
media.
yeah, 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 social media. And speaking of that, if they left at 8 and came back at 12, okay, the
So
12th
they
grade.
left in the eighth grade,
Uh-huh.
and that makes them around 12, according to how when their birthday was 12, 13, and you
Mm-hmm.
come back to school in the 10th grade.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
So
that's those are two different levels of buildings, learning, thought
exactly.
process. So
Right.
it was definitely a learning process for me, and it took a minute. Um, one day they were running through the hallway, and we were like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Right? We're in high school, and something just went off in my head, and we're like, I was just like, "They were in eighth grade. Oh my God, these are still babies."
Right.
And so at that point, I actually started apologizing to them for them having to endure what happened, right? Like
Right.
I felt guilty
Oh,
that
really?
you had to go through that. See, we're talking about feeling guilty, one of the stages of grief. I felt guilty, like I feel bad that you had to go through that, and now you're here and we're asking you to just jump right back into it.
Jump
So
right back into it.
just jump right back into it. So
Wow.
that definitely was a loss. It was a loss for me as an adult and then a loss for them. But then I had to figure out how do I help them through this process. So
Mm-hmm.
for the last 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
I have been helping them through this process because you figure ninth grade, they were totally virtual, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they came in the 10th grade hybrid. So some were virtual, some were in person. So I'm had to figure out how do I help them process this, and
And
it
so what did
definitely
you do?
has been a process.
So how did what did you do? I mean, what
It's every day is something different. To be
really?
honest with you, yes, it's because everyone is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have some that's gonna be good whatever situation you have them in, right? Then you
Mm-hmm.
have some who were already struggling, or you have some that were right there, so now they're struggling. So I just deal with that different it's something different every day. Like we want them to have a plan. And it's like they don't know what plan. Like we're almost talking to some 12, 13. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
13-year olds.
yes,
13-year
yes,
olds don't have plans, right?
yes,
But
yes,
when you're 6'5", you know what I'm saying? You need a plan. You're getting ready to go out here in a few months. So
yes,
it took me a while, like that's a loss. And
yes,
I got to go through the process with them. And
yes.
it's different. The conversations are different from one person to another. I even look at some of my coworkers, and some of my friends. That was a loss. So everybody's thought process is different, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
just have to learn, and that's just going to be. COVID was here, and it's just going to be something that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. I know, right? Like,
Rest of our lives. Wait a minute, Veronica. This a wrap, okay? This just the way we gonna be living. This
this
is
is
just
it. You
this is
understand what I'm
it.
saying? Like,
This
I
is
had
it.
to get over the fear of being out at night, right? Like, because you didn't go out at night. So there are a lot of fears, there were a lot of losses. So
Yes,
dealing with my
yes,
students, I always keep that in the forefront of my mind. Like, you have to deal with them individually. So if they
exactly.
come in my office and it sounds like it's a plan that in my mind, I'm thinking, why would you want to do that? But then I'm thinking, hey, if that's what they're going to make you happy, if I see a smile on your face, how can I help you get there?
Right, right. I
So,
like the part when you say they're actually different, and it's true for children. Children are just little adults. The same thing.
yep,
They're human. They're adult, and everybody deals with everything different. And you're exactly correct about that. But I know that some people they always have this these I always say four stages. Okay, now
right,
the four stages, right? So if you look at
right,
the four stages, one of the things about the four stages, and of course people can look it up or whatever, you can Google it, and they have these different four stages. But here's my question. Everybody starts at a different stage. Would that
that's
be
right.
true? Would that
That's
be
right.
true?
No, that is ever so true. Um, but what I found that a lot of people start with anger, but some research say you start with denial, right? So everyone's different. So that's the reason why there is no cookie cutter
Hmm.
for grief, right? You have to figure out where you start, right? Because sometimes grief is from trauma, right? So you're angry, you may have been there when it happened or something traumatic happened to that person. Some people are dealing with, the denial, like, did it really happen,
Yes,
to my loved one or to my friend? Because dealing with students, they have a lot of loss of friends or a lot of parents, a lot of grandparents. And again, it kind of will go back to COVID, right? A lot of them lost parents and loved ones during COVID. So we deal with the anniversary. I deal with the anniversary dates, right? Where we talk about that. Like, sometimes if someone's acting out, I like to go see what actually happened, what's going on, what triggered this. And
exactly.
normally they'll tell you, and right away you'll go, oh, it's the anniversary date,
Yes.
or this happened on that, or they lost a friend, right?
Hmm.
So the stages are all over the place, right? But as an individual, you kind of need to know, where are you, right? Like, am I angry because this happened? Am I depressed, right? So I found that depression seems to come like after some of those stages.
You think after?
Be-
You think
for
after?
some, right?
Mhm.
Because many times if you're dealing with a loss, you're going through the process of whatever it needs to happen to make that successful, to make sure everything goes accordingly. And then after all of that, what's left? What
Yes.
is left for you to do?
Yes, yes, yes.
Depression,
Yeah, it
right?
is depression. It is
It's
I follow.
depression,
I follow. I'm
right?
not trying to be the authority. I'm just like, really?
No, I want you
Okay,
to
wait.
be like,
Okay.
because again, it's all different for everyone, right?
Yes.
Like, it's all different,
Yeah.
for
Because
losses,
but if you think about it, Veronica, if someone is dealing with a illness,
right?
terminal illness, and you know that they are, so that depression is already there. Okay.
That's already, you're correct, right? That
It's
you're
already
correct.
there,
So that
sitting
one you
there.
start with that, right?
Yeah, you
But you're
start
still
with depression.
angry because you're watching, like, you see this person, you see your loved one. Like you said, it doesn't even have to be a loved one. It could be your favorite, your animal. Like, you know, you grieving from the loss of your animal that you've had for years, or your, whatever that is. But you definitely, you could be angry before you get depressed. I don't know. For me, depression comes triggers, a lot of triggers,
Okay.
and
Okay. Okay.
increase depression to me,
Okay.
right? Like
Right.
anniversary dates, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
got February's coming up. So my mom passed in February.
Right.
So, but she passed on the 29th of February. So it was a leap year. So
Oh.
we don't have that anniversary date. And I found myself in the last few years, like I get there and get that depression in February, but I don't see that actual date. So I
Hmm.
don't think I feel as depressed. And looked on the calendar this year, there's a 29th.
Wow.
So I'm already like, oh my God, here we have a 29th. I have to see that date. So it's just different for everyone. It is definitely different for
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. And so I like that what you said about the preparation of it. If it's a leap year, you ain't gonna see it. But if it ain't, then you're gonna see it, right? So
Yeah,
the preparation, so how do people prepare for these things? And we already know everything is different, okay?
right,
But you also have to have, you also said about a plan,
right.
you just have to be ready for it. But I think the first thing also, you got to recognize that you are not ready. Are you, that's what's happening? Because I know a person that I used to, one of my support staff, I can look at her record and say every October 10th, 11th, or 12th, I have to bring her in and talk to her about her behavior. And
Okay.
I said, wait, something happened on this date. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I'm talking about. So let's talk about that. You got to look at those triggers or things that will set you off, or the smell of something, or
Yep.
see somebody, the clothes that person used to wear, the perfume, whatever will set you off. So you got to have some sort of plan. Now, do you make this plan up yourself, or do you suggest or highly recommend that they seek some type of counseling? What do they do here? What's
Oh,
your thoughts?
the counseling can be a catch 22, right? Like
Mhm.
if you're not ready to go to counseling, you're not going to get anything out of the counseling, right? So I don't know. I don't believe in a plan. I don't believe
Okay.
I can plan like what that's going to look like on the 29th, right? Like I
Okay.
don't think you can plan that. I don't think I would want to plan, right? Because I want to go through the process. I have to go through the
Oh,
process.
I see. I see what you're
And so
saying.
if I'm planning it, I'm not going through the process. I'm setting something
Fake.
that yes, and that's not going through the process. So therapy is definitely good. Seeking counseling is definitely good, right? And you want to see a counselor that a lot of times deal with grief, and that's their area, right? Because you don't want someone that has no idea what the grieving process is, and you're in there discussing how you're going to be feeling in 3 weeks, and they're like, oh, okay. So definitely make sure you do your research and find you a grief counselor, because there are grief counselors out there. um, Definitely recommend that. I just did that today with a coworker slash friend, right? Like I'm like,
Mhm.
you have to get some, you need to seek a therapist. And they said I did. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do family, right? So they made me feel so good because I've been wanting to go in there and say that.
Oh,
But, I just you have to know when someone's ready. And they
exactly.
decided to
I
come and
like that.
talk to me today, right?
Right.
And so since
Mhm.
you come and talk to me and you wanted to share, I was able to say, I'm concerned and I need you to do that. And it'd be good for
Okay.
you to do that.
So
So
Veronica, so Dr. Clay, how do you handle the people that's going to insist on you saying, "Girl, just get over that. That's been 15 years. Okay, he ain't thinking about you." We talking about somebody that broke up. I'm just saying.
right.
Girl, he ain't thinking about you. You over here, this, that, and you grieving a loss of a loved one. Not
Right.
not physical, but just
But
a relationship break. So so you said you went to your coworker when she wanted to talk, basically.
no, they actually came to me because
Okay.
I am very in tune, and after just what we do as a counselor at school,
Hmm.
I'm in tune to people just in general, and so I never wanted to go in because I didn't think you were ready because you're at work. So I know you're not ready because
Okay.
you're here, and they came to me today
Okay, good, good,
and
good.
wanted to talk. And
That's
that
good.
was my opportunity to say, hey, I'm really worried. I think you might want to do that. And so it felt good. And the fact that they have already set that up, I thought that was good,
It
right?
was good. But what about
So
the people that don't come to you and you the person, okay, we'll just do a little hypothetical. You the person that you're tuned, you see them, you know they tripping. Okay, let's just go there. Let's get but you barge in there and say, "Girl, you need to get past this. I'm just sick of
that
seeing you blah 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 blah." Okay? How do you why do these people do that? Just talk. Let's just talk. Why do people
let's
do
just
that to
talk.
people?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna barge in anywhere and say anything to someone unless they're ready, because
Mm-hmm.
you have to be in a space of
Okay.
acceptance and accepting
Mm-hmm.
assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest, I could stay clear of it unless I'm told I have no choice but to go. And you need to go in there and da 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 da. I
Mm-hmm.
will, but not without them. I'm even thinking that they're are accepting of me coming to them, right? Like you can't do that because then you're forcing the person to do something they're not ready to do, and I just don't believe in that.
Yeah, and more than likely they're not gonna follow it anyway. They're
They're not
gonna
going to
do it
follow.
because
It could be that could be the anger stage. So now they're angry at you when
yeah.
that was later on could be an opportunity where you can go. Now they so angry they're not willing to hear anything you're saying. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people again you have to go through the process. It's a process.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
you
there's
said
no
you said
time frame on it.
right,
There's no
right.
date stamp. There is nothing. It is a process. And you want to go through it.
Yeah.
You want
And
to
when
go
you
through it.
And when you say process, let's talk about that word for a minute. And
Okay.
process meaning your process or your steps or your stages. This is me talking. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
is different from mine, right?
Right.
But we always want people to be healthy. We want them to have a really good experience throughout the year forever. You
That's
know,
right.
and so what do you say to to people who are grieving? They've had loss. I don't care what type of loss it is. Okay, what do you say to them? I mean, let's set it up that you seem like they gonna accept it and everything. What do you say to them? It depends on what it is, but if you could just make a statement, how would you handle that?
The first thing is, how are you doing? Like, you want to know where they are. If you ask, 9 times out of 10, they will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely am never going in going, I understand how you feel because,
Oh God.
people tend to do that. So I never do that. Like, I'm going to allow you to say what you need to say. And the response is going to be different and it's going to be according to what you said. Because I think that is the worst thing when people go, oh, I understand what you said, what happened, or you want to share what happened to you, right? But what happened to you is not what happened to them. I don't care if it's the exact same thing, person, but it was not your experience, is not their experience. So for me, it's always, I'm going to feed off of them.
Right, right, right.
I don't
And
have a script. I can't have a script and then I'm not being genuine,
that's right. I,
right?
I hate that part. You brought it up. Girl, I know how you feel. And then they snap and say, no, you don't know how I feel.
You
And
don't
then you
know.
and then you start feeling some kind of way
Right.
because
Now I'm angry, right? Like
I'm mad at you.
everybody angry.
Everybody, two angry people, standing there. I'm like, you don't know how I feel. And people need to learn to stop doing that. Stop it.
Yes.
I think the best thing to do, Dr. Clay, is just listen.
Listen,
Sometimes
that
just
is the
listen.
key. That is the key. If you listen and not give your honest opinion or you think you right opinion, it will flow. I'm telling you. Like today, it was. I did you. She just started saying things, and I was just like, "Oh wow." She's like, "Well, I've been talking to someone. We're gonna see." I said, "Well, that's good." She said, I was hoping you would. Like, I've been concerned about you." I could
Mm-hmm.
say that then, but I couldn't just barge in there. I'm concerned about you. Like, I don't think you're grieving right. Like, No, you know what I'm
Okay,
saying? So I
okay.
waited for her to say, like, I'm, you know, wow, a lot of this just came down on me, and I was able to work with it and, you know, talk to her that way, and she was accepting of it. But what I look like going in, ooh wee, I'm you ain't did none of those stages. You just done went on. What you doing, right? So I needed to let that no communication and listening. Listening is the key, and then you'll
Listening.
know what to say.
Listening, and I love the listening part because it's active listening. Active
Yep.
listening is not waiting for you to say something, it's actually listening. Listening, and I mean, I wrote a paper on listening to hear. Okay,
Yes.
listen so you can hear exactly what's going on, and then you proceed. Even in then, you proceed with caution.
With
You know,
caution.
don't
That's
don't
right.
don't just rush on in there anyway, girl. I knew something was wrong with you. Oh my god.
Yes.
Just thinking that you're really connecting, but you're really not. You're
You're really
disconnected.
not. You're really,
You're
really
really
not,
not. You
right?
make the
And then
person
being
mad.
in tune with someone, like if you see their face is not looking some type of way, you don't just go, "Oh my God, what happened?" You know, you just wait until if they say it, because they may not want to say it, they may not want to share it with you, even though you saw it, you felt it. You know, they were acting different, moving different. That's not your job to go in there and be like, I could tell some, you know, maybe afterwards y'all talking, you can be like, I knew
Yeah, yeah,
something was
shoot it,
wrong,
girl. I
but
knew
that's
you.
not my job to go. I don't think that's anyone's job to go and just start telling somebody what they look like and what I think is going on
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just people will do that in a minute. I mean, I can just say this. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I've done it
I am
before.
too.
Because I'm guilty because it's awkward. It's
It is.
awkward. It's very awkward, and you be like, okay, I don't know what to say next, but I know I need to say something. If just if somebody rush up on you and start talking about you, I mean, they could be talking in the airport. They'll just start. They just talk to me. I don't know why, but they do.
I'm always talking to people.
But they talk to me all the time about a bunch of stuff. So I really have to be ready. I do. I have to really. I mean, in the airport, grocery store, I don't care where I am. They're coming, and I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I got to get ready. But they do. They really do. People say,
Yeah.
"No, you're always talking to somebody." I say, "No, they always talking to me."
Right.
I'm sitting there listening, like, But we have to be ready when somebody comes to you and pick you out
Yep.
to be that person that they want to tell, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah.
some of the things you talk about, Dr. Clay, is about, don't go up there saying, girl, I knew something was wrong with you.
Right.
I ain't want to say nothing, but hey, I can tell, girl, when you start dressing, just
Yeah.
goofy stuff. It's like
Yeah.
goofy stuff. Why are you saying this?
Yeah,
So,
that's no, that is so true. That
right.
is so true.
Right. Even though we're talking about how to have a healthier year, we also need to talk about, and we have talked about how you handle this as a person that may be that point person that they come to.
That's
Okay, that
right.
they come to. You have to be. To me, you got to be delicate. It's a tightrope. You got to be
It
delicate,
is.
and you also need to know when you need to just shut down. You shut down and
That
don't
is
go
key.
ahead with
Oh
that.
my God,
Let's
that
talk
is
about
so
that.
key. That is
Hmm.
so key. You have to know when to say, I'm done. I can't take another thing that another person is saying or doing. And your shutdown may look like no answering any calls, not getting on social media, because that sometimes can take you and drain you. Just finding out who you are and where you are, right? I had a conversation today with one of my coworkers who, because I'm always in tune, like if you've been out, like you good, I will ask that, hey, you good?
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's mental or I'm just drained. I was like, well, your mental can drain you, right? So
Exactly.
having a healthier you this year may mean, hey, take you 2 or 3 days off, because when I take my days off, I don't even say sick. They're mental health days, right?
Yes.
They're mental health days. I take mental health days for me. And I tell everyone, you need to take mental health days. I haven't done that in the past. I don't know. I'd go to work and not feel good, be drained mentally, physically, pull 10,000 places and 10,000 ways, and just come back the next day. Now I take mental health days, and
Yep.
whatever
I
that
like
looks
that.
like when I take it.
I like that.
There's no more I have to go, I'm sick, I don't feel good. One of those, like, so they, get the cough.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
it's a mental health day. Like, it is a mental health day, and I'm taking it. So I think
Yeah.
that'll if we learn to do that in 2024, I think we'll all be good. We're
I
gonna
think
all be
so.
good.
I like that because it is true. Turn your phone off, okay? Divorce it. That's the word.
Yep.
Divorce
Yep.
your phone. All right.
That's a good one.
Yeah, divorce your phone, put it on silent. My phone is on silent all day. Believe it or not, it is on silent all day. I don't hear those bings. I'm not being conditioned by them bings every time. I mean, we so conditioned. We hear somebody else's phone. We looking over there. I mean, come on,
Look
it
at
ain't that
it's
great.
the ring. It's your
It's
ring, and I'm like, you don't even
right,
have your phone. It's not even on you. And what I try to do when I'm at work, I get up from my desk. I don't take my phone with me, but I
right.
can hear one ringing and be like,
What?
oh, okay.
Right,
You don't
right.
even
We're
have
conditioned.
pockets.
We're conditioned. And so,
Yes,
not taking your phone, I love that. Take a mental health day. You know when you're not feeling good. Can't nobody tell you. And you ain't
that's
got to,
right.
it is not a fib
It's
to try to
right.
act like you
Exactly.
coughing and I'm this, that, and the other. You know what your policy is. You
Right.
can miss
Exactly.
2 to 3 days without a note.
You better
Hello.
only
So
two, only three after that. You better
after
have a
that,
real
after
cough from
that, you better get
somebody.
a cough. You better get a cough. Okay. But
Right.
anyway, I mean, taking off, turn your cell phone off. I mean, look at something that you ain't got to think about. Something
Make you
that
laugh and make
to
you
laugh
happy.
and
And I do try now. I walk. Like everybody
okay,
at work knows, oh, she's getting ready to go walk. Yep. It's my time. I don't take the radio out there with me. I do take my cell phone in case I need to,
exactly.
call back in like, hey, something's happening out here. But that's my time and they know it, right? Like
Hmm.
that's my period of time that I'm not thinking about anything. So even
That's
if I'm on the phone with someone, it's not work related. I'm laughing, I'm talking or whatever, but you have to take time for yourself. And I'm saying young to old, like you definitely have to take time for yourself.
and you do. It's called it's self care. It's
Self
it
care.
because it's just like this. You got to stop. I tell people stop giving yourself CPR. It don't work. Okay.
Yep.
You need you
Yep.
need to you You know what I mean? You can't get your own self CPR, okay?
That's right. That's why when you asked me that question earlier,
Uh-huh.
were you there? Yes, no. I
That's
was not there because I needed
I got you. I
some
got you.
me time,
And
right?
I understand that. And you do have to take the breathers, the breaths. They say on the airplane, put the mask on yourself first. So that
Because you
means
can't
you got
save anyone.
you can't save
That's right.
nobody. So take care of yourself.
That's
And if
right.
you want a healthier years, plural,
That's right.
that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to. This is what I've done. I love the part about you when and exercise or you walk. I go to the gym and ride the bike because it's releasing the happy juices in my head. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I do. I mean, the happy
Okay.
juices, because what did they say? The serotonin and all those things, them story, you all
Yeah.
have to go Google that. But anyway, when you're
Yeah.
exercising, it's releasing all that.
Yeah.
I mean, just a natural way to get your mind in a state of happiness. It's a state of centering or balancing yourself. So everybody got to find out exactly what works for them. She walks, I'll ride that bike, or I'll go and I'll do some weight training,
Yeah.
whatever,
Whatever works for you.
whatever
Whatever
works for
works.
you.
And you
That's
know what? That's and social media and the news. Like I know some millennials. Let me say, I have a
okay. Yeah,
millennial, but I know some they don't watch the news, and I'm just like, you don't have the news on. You don't need. And I keep why? I say you're right. Because sometimes you watch it and you're depressed about what you watched, right? Like, oh my
exactly.
God, I can't. So now you're trying to figure out how did that happen? Why did that happen? It doesn't have
Exactly.
anything to do with you, but you've gotten yourself engulfed in what's occurring on the news. So in the morning, I make it a practice. I watch Andy Griffin. I watch shows like that in the
Love it.
morning. I
Oh,
turn the
Andy.
news on just enough to see the traffic, right? Because I do not want to walk out my door in fear of everything I've heard on the news.
I love that. I don't, I mean, let me just give a full disclosure. I don't watch the news at all. Okay.
Oh, So
I
you
don't
you
watch the
like a
news.
millennial.
Yes, I guess I don't watch the news at all. I get my news the old fashioned way. Somebody gonna tell me.
Someone
Okay,
gonna tell you.
somebody
See,
gonna
I
tell me.
think mine is just traditional, right? You grow
Yes, I
up,
know.
you watch your parents, your grandparents,
Yes,
they watch the
yes,
news.
yes,
So then
yes.
you watch the news because that's how you get everything that's happening. And it's so
It's
unhealthy.
so it's so depressing. I mean,
It
I'm gonna
is
tell
so
you.
depressing.
And my children know I don't look at the news. My one son in Georgia called me and said, "Mom, you know it's a guy that didn't escape from prison up there." I said, "Oh, son, thanks a lot. I wouldn't have known if
Wouldn't
I
have known,
saw him
yeah.
in the grocery store. I wouldn't have known because Veronica, I don't do that because it's something that I do that I want to protect my balance. I want to
That's
protect
right.
my joy. And the only way you can do it is to find out what's your joy? What makes you
What's your
feel
joy? You're
happy?
correct. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
find your joy, and I'm going to protect it. If it means that my phone is do not disturb after 7, or my ringer is off, or whatever, I that's what I do. So I mean, in all this, and as we talk, the final thing here is that you got to find your own process. I'm gonna use that
Your
word.
own
You got to
process.
find your own process that's going to help you to make sure that you're healthy this year.
That's right.
And if you got to be healthy for others, you know what I'm saying, because people really love you. You know what I'm saying? They really
Yeah.
love you, and they want you to be healthy. They want you to be happy. They want you
That's
to be
right.
wise. Let's just go and go there that too. So healthy, wealthy, and wise.
And why, right.
They want you to be that, but it's all up to you. Wouldn't you say,
That's
Dr.
right.
Clay? Tell me. I mean, so we're wrapping up now, but tell me some final things that you would like to tell the audience as they look at this that will really help them to move forward and to be healthy and be happy. So, what's your
Find
thought?
your in it just a few find your inner peace.
Wow. Right there. That's a whole different show, right? I'm going to bring you back, Dr. Clay. Find your inner peace. And I'll add, it's going to look different than mine or Dr. Clay's. Okay.
That's correct.
And if it
That's
doesn't look
correct.
different, it's going to do different things to you than it's going to
That's
do to
right.
us. Right.
That's right.
Right. So that's cool. So thank you so much, Dr. Clay. This has been fun. Just shooting the
Yes.
breeze and keeping it light
Yes.
because it's a heavy subject.
It
Okay.
it really is, and you can go on and you can go in so many directions, and um you just it would take days and days.
Yes.
Probably we would never ever be able to stop talking about it. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Mm-mm.
but I do thank you for having me.
Of course.
I appreciate that. When you called, I was like, ah, what? Okay, I'll do it. Like
Yes.
sometimes I try to turn off
I know.
that
I live
mental when
that.
I leave work, but it's something most of the time it doesn't work because like I want to save everybody. Like I say on the news, people I see on the streets, I just want to save everybody anyway. So,
I got you.
yeah, but
Yeah, I know about the turning off, and it's hard to turn off when you that person. You're just that
yeah,
person, as they said a long time ago, that girl. You're just
that
that
girl.
girl. You're just that girl. But thank you so much. And hey, thanks to everybody for joining me. If you like topics on health, wealth, a lot of different things like that, please make sure that you subscribe and do the notification bell and all that. You guys know I'm a baby boomer, but you know what to do. Go there, subscribe, and then we'll be coming back again all this year. So thanks so much, Dr. Clay, and thanks for everybody for joining me today. Take care.